Hello, focused learners, and welcome to today's explainer. If you've ever just stared at your sales numbers at the end of the month and thought, wait, where did all the actual cash go? Well, you're definitely not alone, and this explainer is exactly what you need. Today, we're unpacking a metric that is absolutely crucial. It cuts right through all that financial noise to show you your true unit-level profitability. We are breaking down the contribution margin, from the textbook definition to the formula, and most importantly, to the real, tangible business impact. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Here's our step-by-step roadmap for today. Number 1, what is contribution margin? 2, calculating the contribution margin. 3, driving better business decisions. 4, comparing different profitability margins. 5, key factors affecting margin. And finally, 6, strategies to improve margin.
Section 1. What is contribution margin?
For any business owner, this concept is essentially your foundation. Simply put, the contribution margin is the revenue you have left over after subtracting all your variable costs from your sales. The key word here to really lock in on is contributes. This represents what each individual sale actually contributes toward paying off your fixed overhead and then eventually building up your profit. It literally isolates the direct profitability of every single transaction. Now, the core difference here between cost types is absolutely key. Variable costs, well, they change right alongside your sales volume. The more you sell, the higher these climb. We're talking things like the cost of goods sold, shipping, and of course, your variable ad spend. Fixed costs, on the other hand, they stay exactly the same whether you sell 10 items or 10,000. That's your rent, basic salaries, insurance, and yeah, those monthly software subscriptions we keep forgetting to cancel. So the golden rule here? Fixed costs are entirely excluded from your contribution margin calculation.
Section 2. Calculating the contribution margin.
Let's move away from the theory and look at the real-world math. Imagine a hypothetical e-commerce t-shirt store. We start with a sales price of $30, but right away we have to subtract our variable costs. That's $8 for the blank shirt and printing, $1 for packaging, $5 for shipping, $1.05 for payment processing, and let's estimate about $2 of ad spend to actually acquire that specific sale. So our total variable cost per unit is $17.05. It's kind of crazy how quickly those little costs just chip away at your selling price, right? So when we subtract that $17.05 in variable costs from our $30 sales price, we land at $12.95. This right here is our contribution margin per unit. It's the actual hard cash left over from selling one single t-shirt that can now go toward paying your rent and eventually actually putting some profit into your pocket. We can also look at this as a percentage, which honestly is incredibly useful for benchmarking. If we take that $12.95 and divide it by our $30 sales price, we get a contribution margin ratio of 43.2%. All this means is that for every single dollar of t-shirt sales coming in, about 43 cents goes toward covering your fixed costs and building profit, while the remaining 57 cents pays for the variable costs of just making and selling the shirt. But context is everything, so you might be wondering, is 43.2% actually any good? Well, our t-shirt sits comfortably in the mid-range of 30 to 60%, which is super typical for e-commerce. A high ratio, anything over 60%, shows fantastic pricing power. But watch out, because anything under 30% is a major red flag. It points to high variable costs or severe price pressure. Trying to scale a business with a margin under 30% is incredibly dangerous, mostly because you're going to need massive volume just to keep the lights on and cover basic overhead. Section 3. Driving better business decisions. Knowing your margin really takes the guesswork out of 5 crucial areas. First, break-even analysis. Think about it. If your rent is $10,000 a month and you make $12.95 per shirt, you know precisely that you need to sell 773 shirts just to break even. Second is pricing strategy. It sets the absolute floor for any discounts you run. Third, product line profitability. It reveals exactly which items are your heavy lifters and which ones are just dragging you down. Fourth, marketing and campaign evaluation. You can compare this margin directly against your customer acquisition costs to make sure your ads are actually printing money, not burning it. And fifth, resource allocation. It tells you exactly where to focus your ad budget and your inventory dollars. Section 4, comparing different profitability margins. Now, it is incredibly common for folks to confuse the contribution margin with other metrics, and honestly, that can lead to some pretty disastrous business decisions. So let's compare the big 3. Contribution margin deducts all variable costs with 0 fixed costs. Think of it as your internal, day-to-day tactical tool. Gross margin, on the other hand, only deducts your cost of goods sold. It completely ignores shipping or ad spend, and it's mostly used for external benchmarking. And finally, net profit margin. This one deducts absolutely everything.
variable, fixed, interest, taxes, the whole shebang. It is your absolute bottom line.
Let's bring back our t-shirt store to give you a striking reality check. If you only looked at your gross margin, you'd probably think you were a business genius. I mean, 73.3% looks incredibly strong. But remember, gross margin is ignoring your shipping and ad spend. When we look at our true contribution margin, we're actually down to 43.2%. And then, once we finally pay our rent on our fixed salaries, our actual net profit margin drops to 23.2%. This illustrates brilliantly why tracking all three is absolutely essential. Relying just on gross margin, it's giving you a total false sense of security.
Section 5. Key factors affecting margin.
There are 4 main levers here that push your unit economics up or down. Number 1, selling price. Raising your price is, for sure, the most direct lever you have, assuming your variable costs stay the same. Number 2, variable costs. Things like sudden material price hikes or changing your shipping carriers, those hit your margin immediately. Number 3 is sales volume. Now, volume itself doesn't magically change your per unit margin, but higher volume often unlocks better bulk shipping rates or supplier discounts. And number 4, operational efficiency. This one is absolutely critical. Reducing waste or automating processes gives you durable long-term gains. When you get more efficient, you're improving the margin on every single future unit you sell.
Section 6. Strategies to improve margin. So, how do we take all this and turn it into real-world tactics? Well, first, adjust your pricing strategically. Don't just raise prices blindly across the board. Try bundling a high-margin item with a lower-margin one to boost the overall average order value. Second, cut those variable costs. Make it a habit to renegotiate with your suppliers annually or switch fulfillment partners if rates start creeping up. Third, increase your product value. Better packaging or sharper branding supports premium pricing without actually raising your costs all that much. And fourth, streamline your operations. Listen, a 5% return rate is a massive hidden variable cost. Tightening your quality control directly repairs your margin by reducing those super costly returns.
As we wrap up today, I really want to leave you with this fundamental takeaway. At the end of the day, net profit is what actually matters. Contribution margin is fantastic because it clears away the noise of fixed overhead so you can clearly see if a product is actually working. But ultimately, it is just the vehicle that gets you to true net profit. So, I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Next time you look at your dashboards, ask yourself, are you just optimizing for better gross margins, or are you actively tracking your true net profitability after